Welcome, everybody. I am Kim Galloway, and you have made your way to this all new training journey to your message driven book, How to Finally Write Your Book in 2026. I am so excited that you are here. We're going to just dive right in. So make sure that you've got stuff to take lots of notes. Make sure you've got your water. This is going to be a jam-packed, all new course that I get to teach you today. So if you're new to my world, I'm Kim Galloway. I am your story pathfinder, best-selling book strategist, and a best-selling author of over 20 books. And that story pathfinder is exactly what we're going to be talking about today with your journey. Now, you are here because you want to finally write your book. You want to share your message. You want to help the people that you're meant to help. And of course, you want your book to be able to help you build your business. Guess what? I help message-driven authors to finally write their book so that they can share their message and so that they can build their business. Kind of like we planned it that way. So this is Journey to Your Message-Driven Book, and we're going to be talking about the truth about your journey as an author. The single fastest, easiest, and best way to write your book. It's probably not what you think it is. What to never do when you're writing your book. And then if you can do this one thing in your book, you'll convert readers into raving fans that buy. So welcome. I am so glad that you're here. We're also going to be covering how you can get my personal mentorship on your writing so that you can get that book done. Finally write your book. We're also going to be talking about the 3 journeys that happen all intertwined. The journey of you as an author, the journey of your reader as they are consuming the book, and the journey of the book itself, like as an own entity. So right now, pop into chat, 3 journeys. 3 journeys. Pop into chat, 3 journeys. I have a love-hate relationship with Zoom because it's great to have such a great international audience, and when everybody has their camera off, I get no feedback. And I also understand not wanting to have your camera on. So pop into chat right now, 3 journeys. So I know that you're following me. Pop into chat, 3, the number 3, and then journeys. Here, I'll get you started. It's painless. 3 journeys. You don't even have to spell it right. There you go. Thank you. Perfect. Just have to know that there's like not a delay, nothing weird. Okay. So now let's talk about you for just a second. You want to write the book. Maybe it's been on your to-do list or your goals list or your dreams list for a while. I totally understand. But more than just being able to check off, I wrote the book, you want to help people. You want to get more clients. It's not enough to just say, oh, if I wrote my book and if it helped one person, that would be enough. People come to me and say that. And while I admire the sentiment, my lovely author friends, it's not enough. It's not enough. You have to be able to help more people. You've got to be able to get more clients so that that money flows. You get to do more things, support more causes, bills get paid. It's all intertwined. And it all starts when you finally write the book. Got to get it finished. And it's not just writing. It's intentional. It's not just let me put words down on the page, let me just get it out, get it out, get it out, get it out. It has to be a very intentional crafting of the experience that happens for your reader. And you've got to ask yourself these questions. Well, what do I tell the reader? How do I tell them that? And why? As you are writing your book, your skills will improve. So this is your author journey. These skills that you are gaining. Now, I can tell from the names that bunches and bunches and bunches of you are absolutely new to my world, welcome. I'm so excited that you're here. So, my really, really brief intro. I have a degree in creative writing from the University of Arizona, and I have over 20 books of my own that I've written and published, all nonfiction. Well, I have a few that are short fiction, scary stories, and one that's just short fiction, but most of them are nonfiction. And I help writers around the world not just to write a book. It's not about a template, it's about a system. So that you're writing the book that's on your heart, so that you're reaching the people that you're meant to reach. And one of the things that we really lean hard into is storytelling. Because without stories, your reader won't remember what you're telling them. And as your writing skills improve, your storytelling skills improve, and your journey as an author unfolds. And what I see over and over and over is a huge mistake that authors make is that they think that because they are good writers, they can write emails, they can write blog posts, they can write sales pages. We've been writing our entire life. That means that their book should be flawless. You shouldn't have to rewrite or edit or struggle. I wish that that was the truth, but it isn't. Because the person that you are today, writing the beginning of the book, chapter 1, is not the person that you will be in 6 months when you have completed your first draft. Your skills will get better, your skills will change. And I have to shed some real light on this author journey. There's stuff that you might have to go back and rewrite. Not because it was wrong, but because you are better now. And so the journey as an author has to have skill improvement. And that's frankly, I'm gonna call all of us out because I'm doing some other stuff right now where I'm frustrated at my own skills that I want them to be here and they're here. Like they're not the basement, but I'm not progressing fast enough. And then I ask myself, well, why not? Oh yeah, because I'm not practicing. And I don't look at authors and your author journey as writing for like just practicing for the sake of practice. I think you really should be writing your book and honing your skills there on stuff that matters. But how do you approach just writing your book, right? Because if you're not new, I am not a sit down and write. You need to know what your message is. You need to outline your book. And then you can start writing. And then once you start writing and you kind of get lost, you're like, oh, now what? Then all of my secret sauce kind of comes in. But let's talk about the reader's journey because understanding the reader's journey is going to impact your author journey because your author journey, your reader journey, and your book's journey as going from idea to thing are all intertwined. As you're evaluating your reader journey, you need to ask yourself who they are on page 1 versus who will they be when the book is over. Now, let's just take this for a moment. We're going to just pause, we're going to back up, write this down. Write this down. This is for your perfect reader. The one who really wants the information that you're going to be sharing, the one who's going to read it, absorb it, and do the thing. Okay? They're not going to be like, oh, that was nice. And it's not the reader who wants to be combative. Let me just put some of that to rest real quick because I know that this is a big fear that people have, and it came to me in some of the questions for covering this. People don't usually troll authors. It is a lot of work to read a book that you hate and you're going to go after the author. People just put it down. They stop reading. There's no such thing as rage bait in books or rage clickbait. Like they just don't. So when you're thinking about your reader's journey, who they are on page 1 versus who they are on page the end, however many pages that might be, this is somebody who really wants you. They want your knowledge. They want your stories. They want you. They are not argumentative, combative, or out to make anybody miserable. So you want when you're thinking about your reader's journey, pop in the chat, reader's journey, because that's where we're at right now, reader's journey. How do they grow or change from reading your book? Thanks, Cheryl. Reader's journey, pop that in. How do they grow or change? And y'all, I'm not expecting you to be able to answer these questions right now. You've probably never thought about your author journey, your reader's journey, and your book journey this way. And this is brand new training that I'm bringing to you. So I've done a lot of thinking about this. I've done a lot of processing. I've done a lot of training on this with my paid clients. And what I'm looking at is how can I bring you the right questions to be asking? Because how you answer the question is what matters. How does your reader grow or change? What do they learn? What do they experience? So let's unpack some of these because it's really easy to fall back to what I call garbage language. Well, how do they grow or change? Well, they go from being disempowered to empowered. Yeah, that doesn't tell me anything. How? What does that look like in that reader's journey? What does empowerment mean? And are they able to take any action on it? So this morning I woke up and I was going to put on my makeup for this event. And I have a bag where I keep all my makeup and I dumped it out and it's too full. And I was like, smells like wake up and throw everything away. I'm in that kind of mood. But here's the problem. I'm empowered to suddenly dive in and like declutter. Dude, my house needs it right now. My kids are getting big. I got 4 kids, by the way. My kids are getting big. They're rapidly outgrowing things. And I really need to be figuring out what gets saved for the next kid in line, because it's boy, girl, girl, boy. What gets saved for the next kid in line? What just needs to get out of here? And so I wake up all empowered, ready to go and throw everything away. And then I physically turn around and I look at this mountain of laundry, kid laundry, and I go, oh, I don't know how to do this. How does your reader grow or change? What do they learn? Be specific. So right now in your notes, ask yourself, well, what does my reader learn? What are the skills, the tools? How are they going to change from when I picked up the book to when I put it down? Assuming that they are the absolute perfect reader. So it's not enough to read a book. We're going to stick with the decluttering thing. It's not enough for me to read a book about decluttering and be inspired to change, or even going out and buying a bunch of plastic bins. If that's all I did, that author failed me. You inspired me. I bought bins, but I didn't actually grow, learn, change. I just spent money. How does your reader change? What do they learn? And what do they experience? So let's talk about experience, because as nonfiction authors, we have systems, because you guys are also probably a coach, a course creator. Maybe you have a signature program. Is this ringing your bells? And we think, okay, well, we already have our system. We'll just take our system and we'll put it in our book because it works when we coach. It works in our courses. Of course, it'll work in our book. No, it won't. No, it won't. Because when you're thinking of this reader journey, you are forgetting that this is a one-way conversation. They have no way of asking you questions. You have no way of getting follow-up, feedback, nothing. And if you try to jam your entire course or system into one book, they're going to be overwhelmed. Because what you might be able to say in 12 seconds that relies on what you say, how you say it, your tone of voice, the way you wave your hands around, when that translates to the page, that can be 4 or 5 times longer or more. And you have to really structure it for clarity. One of my children is outside yelling. My door is locked. I'm good, but there's a second door to this building. She knows how to open it. I am not anti-naming your system. I am not anti-naming your process, naming your steps, having steps. I don't think that you should rely on an acronym to teach your information, whether it's in your book or someplace else, because people forget the acronyms. There are very few acronyms out there where people know what it is, know how to use it, and it instantly triggers things. And people, they're usually the ones like ASAP, as soon as possible. But that's not when you get into an emotionally charged situation. You're like, oh, that's the acronym that I use. So let me tell you a story. A lovely woman came to me to write her book. And she was transitioning from being a photographer to being someone who, she didn't call it a death doula, but how to teach other people how to help their loved ones pass on. And she had a named 5-part system. Now, this was one of my VIP clients. We worked very closely together for 6 months. Ask me what her system is. Don't remember. Ask me what her acronym is. Again, I don't remember. Ask me the stories that she wrote in her book with my guidance, and I can give you the system. I can give you the system. So one of her pieces of when you're supporting somebody who's dying is to offer to do something for them that would like close a loop. Something that they're worried or stressed about that they really need to have handled before they die, and having it handled would help them pass on. Well, that's part of her system. And I don't remember what the acronym letter was, but what I remember is the story that she told. It was her great aunt who was passing away, and the author's name was Stacy. And she goes, Auntie, what can I do? What can I do for you? What unfinished business do you might have that I can help you finish so you can stop worrying about this? And the very frail aunt in her little hospital bed grabs Stacy's hand and says, burn my journals. Burn my journals. They're all up in the attic. Don't read them. And when Stacy's telling the story on the page, like she's really showing the emotion and the tightness of this little lady grabbing her hand and the frantic feeling of like, you've really got to do this and don't read them. And the other part of it was, and don't let your uncle know. Whoa, hello. Now we've got some tea to be spilled in these journals. And Stacy and I are on a coaching call, and I go, so what'd you do? And she's like, well, I burned the journals. And I was like, no, we can't just like relax that. Did you read them? This was a big ask. These are journals from this 80-year-old woman, like her entire life. She asked you to burn the journals. What? Think about the history that's going away. And Stacy goes, no, but she asked me to burn the journals. I had to burn the journals. Unread. I don't remember Stacy's acronym, but I remember her story. Another piece of Stacy's book that I'm going to tell another quick story was a different auntie passing away, all in the hospital bed, the hospice bed, and Stacy realized that she never got touched. This lady, like the nurses just came in and were like very matter of fact. And if you've ever been in the hospital, It's kind of nice that they're like just very matter of fact, like, let me poke you and prod you and roll you over and do whatever we need to do. But there was no comfort. And so Stacy was in her book was telling the story about, ask permission of the medical staff and of the patient. It's okay to touch them, rub their feet, hold their hand, rub their back, give them comfort. Now, here's why I love story versus acronym. Because what's probably going to happen to your reader's journey, they're going to need this information that you're telling them in a moment of high stress. They're not going to say, pump the brakes, let me think of this acronym. They're going to say, what did I feel? What did I feel? I just read this book. What did I? Oh, yeah. So this touch. In December, I had put down my dog. And in February, my other dog passed away. And I'm thinking about Stacy's How to Help Your Loved One crossover book. Now they're dogs. They don't have journals to burn. But I love them. I don't want them to be alone. So the dog that we had put to sleep, I held him. Was it easy? Heck no. It was absolutely miserable. What was even harder was exactly 60 days later, my little dog that I'd had for 14 and a half years was dying at home. Dying at home. Was waiting for the vet to open because we were going to go make the call, but he's dying at home. Would it have been really easy to just close the bathroom door and let him deal with it and not be there? Of course it would have been. But I have Stacy's story in my head. And I was there and present and offering whatever comfort I could. Your acronym can't do that. And on your reader's journey, sorry, that gets really heavy, right? And I didn't cry this time, so that's good. The strength with an acronym, the strength with the system, is that it takes your reader through a logical progression. Your reader needs to have a logical progression through your book because they can't see the whole thing. I'm reading a book right now where I keep asking myself, where is this going? Where is this where is this going? You have to have a logical progression. You don't have to spell it out for your reader, like in the introduction or the back jacket copy, but they have to know that you've got them, that you're not going to leave them high and dry, that you are going to have a transformation from page 1 to page I'm done, and they're going to walk away transformed. You have to do that for them. Now, the third piece, let's talk about your book's journey. The going from idea to it's on the page. And then beyond that is the editing and the publishing and like the formatting and the launching, right? But let's just talk about the writing portion of your book's journey. Idea to it's on the page. You cannot manifest a book. Let me say this again. You can't manifest a book. You cannot pray a book into existence. You can't just go book, 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 book. No, it's not on my hard drive yet. Book, 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 book. Nope, still not there. Book, book, book. Why is my book not showing up? Because books take work. And I have a very good friend in the online business space, Catherine Calhoun, that I love how she talks about being an online business owner is a harder, lonelier journey than what we thought it was when we signed up for this. And I love it that she just says that. So in the spirit of Catherine Calhoun, books take work. Pop into chat, work. Okay? It doesn't have to be horrible. It doesn't have to be onerous. It doesn't have to be miserable. In fact, it shouldn't be. Work. Yes. Yes. Jan, thank you. Cheryl, work. But it doesn't have to be miserable. It doesn't have to be hard, and it shouldn't be. If writing your book is awful, stop. Stop. You're either writing the wrong book, you don't have the right mentor, or you shouldn't be writing a book, and maybe you should be delivering your information in a different way. And that's okay. But it also takes learning. Circling back to our author journey, you have skills. You've got writing skills right now, and they are greater than you think they are. But when you are writing your book and you are telling these stories, you've never done anything like this before. Of course, you have to grow. And all of that comes into your book's journey. And your book's journey takes time. I am so tired of people saying that they wrote a book in a few weeks or a few days. No, what you did was you got all your brain dump out. Now the real work begins. The organizationing, the editing, organizationing, I made that word up, the organizing, the editing, the making sure that the reader's journey makes sense. And you as an author did not grow if you wrote your book in a few days or a few weeks. And your book, your message, your people deserve that growth. You don't have to suffer with writing your book. You absolutely don't. And you do not have to figure it out alone. So right now, I'm going to give you my full 5-part system with writing your book. And I'm going to make an invitation for you to mentor with me. Now, I don't usually do PowerPoints. Okay, so we're going to share my screen there. Now you can see me. Okay. I do not usually do PowerPoints, so stick with me because we're going to give you the 5-part system. I'm going to show you how the VAP mentorship works. Now, for all of you who are going, oh my God, it's the offer part, breathe, dudes. There's really good information in here because this is how we write books. This is the process, whether you do it with me or not. And what I've done, which I'll get you the link here. I've opened up space on my calendar to have enrollment conversations, but you need to know what you might be enrolling into. And we're doing this here. I've got more content to come back to, but we're doing it here because I know that people get busy, okay? I say this and I want you to understand that when I say your message matters, it's not a tagline. Okay, it's totally a tagline, but there's a lot of feeling behind it. You have something to say to the world that only you can say. You are the sum total of your thoughts, your beliefs, your trainings, who you love, who loves you. And this is what your readers are looking for. And I don't think that you should have to struggle to get them that information. So let's talk about the Finally Write Your Book VIP mentorship. This is my proven system with kick-ass mentorship. And we're going to dive right into the logistics of joining us because I don't want you to wonder. If you look at this and you're like, nope, this isn't for me, cool, stick around because there's still some more information to come. And then you know cleanly. I can take, that should say 5 authors because one spot is already full for the next 6 months. That runs May 1st through October 31st. Now, you are probably thinking, oh my gosh, like it's summertime or winter, depending on where you're living. And the kids are doing this and school holidays are doing this and okay, take a deep breath. As your journey as an author, you're never going to be less busy. Life is only going to come at you faster, harder, and bigger. A piece of my journey was in 2020, I had routine gallbladder surgery to take out my gallbladder. And I had a toddler and a 6-week-old baby at the time. Yeah, he removed my gallbladder, but he also lacerated my liver. Gave me a subcapsular liver hematoma about the size of a Nerf football, so bigger than a grapefruit. And I had to spend the next 8 months doing absolutely nothing, recovering my husband's chair, this big recliner, with a toddler and a newborn. Why am I telling you this story? Because life never gets easier. You're not promised tomorrow, and this idea of waiting until your kids are bigger, until you retire, until this other thing resolves, you are not promised that time. We got to do it now. And this is a proven system. It's a plan, not winging it. I don't do that, okay? Too busy. So let me give you the steps of writing a message-driven book. And these are the steps, whether you work with me or not. Step 1 is revealing your message. This is not a head thing, it's a heart thing. It is the heart-to-heart, soul-to-soul connection with your reader. I just wrapped up a full 3-day event called Brew Your Business Book, and we spent an entire day on message. Message is something you feel. It is something that you are born with. It comes encoded in your DNA. And it is as indivisible from who you are as your bones are from your body. Everybody has a message. It's not messaging. It's not marketing. Books don't have messages. Books have topics. It is that connection. And when you get out of your head and into your heart and reveal that message, your love for your reader passes through every single page. That connection is what they are seeking, especially in AI. By the way, my campus is a 100% no AI campus. I don't use it. My authors don't use it in any way, shape, or form. You don't need it because your reader isn't looking for AI slop. They're looking for you, that connection. There is nothing that computer can tell you that you don't already know. Step 2 is outlining your message-driven book. And we use something called the pizza slices process. Now notice, I am not anti-naming your process. I'm anti-leaning on your acronym. What slices go in your book? And what do you create hunger for the other things that you do? Your courses, your coaching, your program, your speaking. And we look at this outline and it ties in with the reader's journey. How do they go on the hot mess to clarity curve? How do they change? How are you going to release the information in the book so that it makes sense? You have to have an outline. And this, I think, is where most people get it wrong. They either make it too simple, too complicated, and 100% forget about the reader. We're not covering outlining during this event. That was from Brew Your Book. Sorry, should have taken that slide out. Step 3. Storytelling for maximum impact. I told you stories today, and long after you remember the stuff from this training, outside of looking at your notes, you will remember the stories that I tell you. Because stories are not just nice to have. They're the difference between a boring book and one that actually creates impact. They're the difference between somebody who can remember and take action and somebody who just read the book and now it sits on their shelf. You have to have an emotional punchline. It doesn't mean I have to have them laughing or I have to have them crying. It's an intentional part of your story, every story that says, this is how I want my reader to feel so that they will remember. Are they going to remember every single story? No. Are they going to remember every single point? No. And that's okay. You never know which of your stories is going to tug that heartstring and walk forward with them in the rest of their life. When Stacy was writing her book, she didn't know that the burn the journal story and the touch story would be the ones that I pulled forward into my own life and have used. She didn't know that. I didn't know that. You don't know that for your reader. But if your stories do not have an emotional punchline, they won't connect. And that's not the point. You want to help your reader. Now, step 4, targeting your reader's experiences. This is my secret sauce. You can't actually use any of the stuff I'm going to tell you right now until you've written, gotten feedback, and struggled a little bit with asking yourself, is this working? Is this landing? Am I doing this right? They focus on reader continuums. This is part of my secret sauce. Where's your reader right now? Where do you want to get them to? What do they know? What do they want to know? I have a whole series of questions that I teach my authors so that all of this comes together. And the what's in it for the reader decoder, WIIFTR, stop showing up. Putting your reader first. Otherwise, your book is just about you. Hang on just a minute. No, go back outside. I'm almost done. No, you cannot come in today, baby. I know, because I'm doing a call. Okay. She's 3. She's getting over a cold. She's absolutely adorable, but I can't be present for you guys if, and you can't be present for you if we have that level of crying adorableness. And step 5, writing your book. And I really think that you need to do this with mentorship. I don't know why people think that going out and writing needs to be something solitary and painful. I think you should have mentorship for accountability, encouragement, and support. Are you doing this right? How can I keep encouraging you? Let's get feedback on the writing itself so you know if it's landing, so you know if it's working. Is the story that you're telling driving to point A or is it driving to point Q? Actually, Q is actually better than point A. Let's keep it like that. Together, we figure out your writing process so you can get it done. I am not going to tell you, hey, you have to go to a coffee shop. Hey, you have to write in silence. Hey, you have to get up early. We work, because it's a VIP mentorship, we work together to figure out how you need to do this. Because this is where the pencil meets the page. Now, I have to be really honest. This is guidance, not ghostwriting. I do not ghost for you. And please do not be tempted into the VIP mentorship if you are not coachable. If you just want a cheerleader that, no, I want to make you the best author possible. If you're not willing to write, I can't help you. This is a writing your book. And if you don't want to improve. Now, let's talk bonuses because I love bonuses. Your pre-work is the book idea workbook that makes sure that the book that you really want to write is the book that you're writing. I love doing rewards and celebrations, aka I send you presents. And you get lifetime access to all the recordings that come with the VIP mentorship, everything. Plus an author interview series for ongoing inspiration. Now let's look at the logistics of joining us. This is a VIP, you and me, plus group hybrid. In the VIP, this is one-on-one calls because I want to get to know you, and I will, and your writing. It's coaching, writing coaching, not therapy. And then we have a group Q&A for questions that you didn't know you needed to ask, plus a weekly motivation check-in. I want you to be able to hit the ground running. So we are doing an in-depth training for my full Write Your Book system, live and go fast workshop on May 8th. Plus, you get instant access to the entire course. Now, you're probably thinking, well, why do I need your mentorship if it's just the course? It's not just the course. You need both, which is why we're doing the fast, accelerated version of the course. Plus, you get all of the recordings. But here's the real magic. In those weekly group meetings and one-on-one meetings with me, they're recorded, where we go over your writing up to 10 pages at a time. They're about 30 minutes or so, and they're recorded and sent to you privately so that you can ask me your questions, we get feedback, you go forward. And if at any time you don't have writing and you're like, I just need coaching, I just need a pep talk, I got you. I got you. Now everybody wants to know, well, what time is all of this happening? The group trainings, the Q&As are Monday at noon Pacific. What if I can't come live? No problem. You can send your questions in ahead of time. Everything is recorded. You get it all. And then you get on my calendar. I go over your writing and give mentorship on the one-on-one calls. We work this around your schedule and my schedule. I will say this, I don't work evenings because my brain doesn't work in the evenings. You don't want evening Kim. But there are plenty of hours in the rest of the day, no matter where you live on the planet, where we can find half an hour together. And let me say this again for the people in the back, everything is recorded. Now, who is this for? This is for authors like Jenny Harris, who was fresh out of college. She wanted to write a memoir about her dating experiences to help other women just like her who were very devout, navigating college and hormones, and the church was leaving them behind. It's like Chris Chopin, who wrote When Your Child Discloses Sexual Abuse. This was a legacy project for Chris. She wanted to retire. She worked as a forensic interviewer. She was a trainer. She went all across the country. She wanted to retire and not have her heart leave. The heart got to stay. And this book is passed out at police departments and sheriff departments around the country. It's for people like Erin Copeland, who wrote Welcome to Caregiving, The Things Caregivers Never Talk About, who she had tried to write her book for several years, and it always kind of came out like a grocery list. And she didn't want to tell caregivers, do this, do this, do this, do this. She wanted to show her heart. She wanted to tell stories. She's so funny in writing. She wanted to have that connection so caregivers knew that they weren't alone. By the way, she's also a best-selling author. It's for people like Holly Doherty. I should put a picture of her book up here, but I don't have one handy. It's for Secondhand Worth. She started her book, it was a memoir. She started her book and she got 3 chapters in and has sat on her hard drive for 10 years until she she came to one of my events, she learned my system and was able to complete the book, publish, edit, bestseller. Edit, publish, launch, bestseller. It's for people like Douglas Gentile. Do you notice that little penguin up there? This was traditionally published, y'all. He is a PhD. He writes professionally in the academic space, and he needed coaching to write a more expansive book to non-academic audiences. When he coached with me, not only did this get published by a traditional publisher, he used the skills that he got in the VAP writing mentorship to go on and write other books. I do not believe in handcuffing you to your mentor. The very first time I said yes and invested in mentorship was $18,000. And they made it real clear that it was 3 years to 7 figures, meaning keep renewing because you don't get all the details for 3 years. I don't do that. You can write your book in 6 months. If you need more time, there is a renewal, and most of my people are very successful within 6 months. It's for people like Nancy Whitman Klotz, who had never written a book before. She came to me with just barely an idea and wrote a bestseller, Women Supporting Women. It's for people like you. This is me with some of my authors, more authors, more authors. Now, I want to give you some fast action bonuses. Your deadline is April 28th. Now, you can enroll right now, or you can hop on the phone to talk with me, answer any of your specific questions, but this is your deadline for these fast action bonuses. The Writer's Goal Setting Workbook, a step-by-step process to getting your writing done. This is tracking and encouragement when I'm asleep. A 15-minute sand timer to help you with that, write your book in 15 minutes a day. And an author shirt. You know that gray shirt that I wear that just says author? Well, you need one of your own. Now, what if you've already started? That's okay. I don't have to take people from idea. I can meet you where you're at. You have to be coachable. Add in the stories, build the system. Some of my authors have had false starts for years. Others have come with no start whatsoever. And some others have come with full drafts that we worked through. So here's what this looks like. Up to 24 one-on-one meetings with me. They're recorded where we go through your writing, 30 minutes or so, and then email access Monday through Thursday, 9 to 3. Meaning you can email me anytime, but that's when I'm going to be answering. Now you're probably going, but Kim, what's the investment? 4 payments of $1,500 or a pay in full of $5,000. Now here's why I'm both offering up my calendar to talk to you to make sure that this is a good fit and telling you what this looks like. Because I hate it when I get all excited, I really want this, and I hop on the phone, and that is too much of a stretch. then I just wasted my time, my mentor's time, and everybody is frustrated. I want you to understand what you get. Pay in full is 20% bonuses and discount. Here's the pay in full bonuses. 20% discount, a half-day virtual storytelling retreat. Y'all, this is going to be worth the price of admission right here. In this half-day virtual storytelling retreat, you get targeted exercises to help you. Oh, and people they make such improvement quick, fast, and in a hurry. And you also get my best-selling book launch course. This is a $500 value. That would be what happens next, the launch. So you can get on my calendar. Let me pop the link in here. Or you can enroll. The calendar link is right here on this page. You just have to scroll down. Where did you go? Screen sharing, chat. Okay, you just have to scroll down. And okay, I clicked buttons and now I'm lost. So it's brewyourbook.com/VAP. Now, please understand that the calendar is for enrollment conversations. It is not a free coaching call. It's not like answering your questions, making sure that this is a fit. I am not expecting you to make an investment of this level without getting the chance to talk to me. But it's not for, this is not, please do not get on my calendar. Like, this isn't just a chit chat. Okay. And what I've done, when you find that calendar link at the bottom of that page, I have opened up extra spaces. Even through the weekend, looking at that April 28th deadline for your bonuses, because we are going to hit the ground running on May 1st. I want you to have your full 6 months with me. Now, I want to make sure with everything that I promised you, with what I told you we were going to be talking about, I just want to wrap up just a little tiny bit. When I said what to never do when you're writing your book, I don't know if you heard me. So we're going to clean this up. I never want you to feel like you have to do this alone. And I don't want you to just sit down and start writing and writing and writing and writing and writing. So this is a twofer. Can you write a book that way? Yes, it is the long, slow, painful, heartbreaking way to do it. Getting mentorship, getting support, not just a course, but having somebody who can look at your stuff and help you is invaluable. It is so important. Now, you came to this training knowing it was all new, probably suspecting that I was going to be making you an offer, and you might be going, actually, she knows what she's talking about, but that is beyond what I kind of thought. Take a deep breath. I understand. When I was first faced with an offer like this, it was a year-long mentorship. It wasn't a mentorship. It was a year-long group mastermind program. And the offer was $18,000. I was not ready. It stole the breath right out of me. And it wasn't that I wasn't ready to step into who I needed to be. It was, I just didn't know an offer was coming, and it was shocking. And it was absolutely shocking. So take a deep breath. I know what it's like to have to step into the next iteration of who you need to be. I also have two pieces of advice. Number one, your head has no answers and your heart has no questions. Every time I'm faced with the feeling, I ask myself that question. What does my heart know? And what is my head trying to figure out? How can I bring those two together? Because the heart already knows and the head's like, blah, 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 blah. Let me give you all the reasons why not. My second piece of advice, and this goes for life, y'all. Choose your regrets. Choose your regrets. So when I was at that event and she made the $18,000 offer and my heart is going, yes, 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 yes. My head is going, oh, no, 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 no. I didn't say yes. And I cried all the way home. It was in Southern California. We lived in Northern Arizona at the time my dad was driving. And I cried all the way home. And 6 months later, she opened it back up and I went back to the event and I knew it was coming and I cried all the way home. 6 months later, I didn't go to the event. I just cried for 3 days, knowing she was making that offer, knowing I was supposed to be stepping into the bigger version of myself and being so insanely jealous of the people who were there who were saying yes. Fast forward a full year. She has another event. It's in Southern California, totally drivable. And I take my aunt. She needed to be around some positive people. And by this time, all of this mentor's clients, lots of them were my friends, lots of them were my clients. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just go. And I'm not going to say yes when this $18,000 offer comes around. I'm not going to say yes. And so this is a 3-day in-person live event, right? And I'm standing there in the hallway. Enrollment has closed. Like they're doing the last thing. I'm standing there in the hallway talking to this lady that we called Queen Esther. And her business was whoop ass healing. She's gonna open up a can of whoop ass on your trauma and get it gone. And she worked with people who were sexually abused by the clergy. Like that was her thing. She's telling this funny story about this client of hers who wanted to make a career change, and his dad said, I will pay for your schooling if you pass the bar. He had gone to law school. If you can pass the bar, I will pay for your next round of schooling. And he can't pass the bar. And he starts working with Queen Esther, and it turns out that the proctor of the bar exam had the same cadence to his shoes and squeaky as this young man's abuser. And he was like, it's stuck in a trauma response. Now, Queen Esther's hilarious and butchering her story, but she says they worked together. The kid goes out and passes the bar, like passes the bar. And then she says he goes back to school. And now he's an art therapist working with other sexually abused kids. All because he dealt with his own trauma and passed the bar. But then she goes on to say, and he wouldn't have been able to do that if I hadn't said yes to this offer and God and built my business, written your book. We're standing there in this group and I'm crying now. And I said, that's it. That's it. I'm going. And I left. And this time I cried my way all the way to the back of the room and said, here's my deposit. I'm in. I'm in. And I'm telling you this story because I know what it's like to have to step into who you need to be. I know what it's like. And that moment, trust me, I stepped in, I paid it, I had to do wire transfers. I accept all forms of credit card. Okay? Like you don't have to wire transfer to me. I accept credit card, credit, debit, whatever you want. I did the wire. I stepped in and I spent the next year becoming who I needed to be able to stand on stages like this and help authors just like you to help the people that they are meant to help. So when I tell you that I understand the offer on the table, I understand what you're feeling, but I understand knowing that writing your book, helping the people that you are meant to help, that start of that train and that trickle effect, that my loves, you're never going to know what that actually ends up looking like. Just want you to know that it's going to be bigger than you've ever thought. I know what it's like. And I would love to have you be one of the 5 authors who joins me in the VIP writing mentorship. Now, the link posted in here again. You are welcome to just enroll. Okay, you are welcome to just enroll. If you've made it this far, if you're saying like, yep, this is me, I want in, you can go just enroll. Or you can hop on my calendar and we will make sure that this is a good fit for you. We are starting May 1st. We have the Finally Write Your Book Accelerator on May 8th, and I'd love for you to join me. But more importantly, I want you to write your book. I want you to go out there, not just write it, but get it out there and help the people that you are meant to help. So thank you so much for joining me today. I want to honor all of our time. And, you know, I'm in the industry that does a lot of webinars. I also know for a fact that in 60 seconds, we're going to click over to the start of a new hour, and I bet a bunch of you have to go. So thank you for joining me. I will get this replay out to everybody. Please come and join me in the Finally Write Your Book VIP mentorship and have a wonderful weekend.